Hello everybody, this is Othium, and we're going to do my first ever Let's Play. And today we're going to play Pokemon Red version. And we're also going to set the rules to do a Nuzlocke challenge, because I felt like the rule set was interesting, and this will be my first ever Nuzlocke run. So of course, you pull it up, and there's your professor. He's telling you about the world of Pokemon, and it starts you off into this game. I love Pokemon. It's definitely been one of those video games that I used to play as a kid. So now I get to name myself, and obviously I'm going to choose Othium. This is the name I use for pretty much everything. Mostly RPGs, that's what I tend to play. A few first-person shooters here and there, but mostly RPGs. Pokemon definitely got me into playing handheld games when I was a kid. Now I get to name my rival. I'm going to name him, I believe I'm going to name him Dave, as he was a good friend of mine growing up, and we used to buy the different versions of each generation so we could trade, play, and who can beat the game the fastest. So just for nostalgia reasons, we'll go ahead and name him Dave. So we're about to get ready, and there I go shrinking. And we're in my room, so of course I'm going to go ahead and pick up the first potion that we see. And it took me a little bit for some reason. I think I was getting used to the buttons on the joystick. If you can't tell, I am doing the audio for commentary post-production just because I don't really have time to play and do the audio, so I kind of have to do the commentary when nobody else is around. So for now, it's just going to be all post-production commentary. I kind of skipped over the town. I know a lot of people tend to show you everything. I just decided, let's just go. So I went into the grass, got the professor, and now we're heading into his house, which I always thought was odd that a grandfather-ish person was just inviting you randomly into their home and to see their Pokeballs. So of course now he's telling you that he's got 3 choices from all the Pokemon he used to have, and I'm going to pick Charmander. What I did before the game was actually did a dice roll. I set Bulbasaur as 1 in 4 on a 6-sided dice. I set Bulbasaur was 1 in 4. I set Squirtle as 2 in 5. And I set Charmander as 3 and 6. When I rolled the dice, it came up as 3, so I'm decided to pick the Charmander. I chose Firaga as the name. That's, if you know the Final Fantasy series, that's the 3rd stage of your fire spell. Especially if you're playing Final Fantasy VII, you can level up your materia and eventually can become Fira and then Firaga. So I figured Charmander, if he survives, he'll become an uber fire Pokemon, so why not name him a very strong fire magic? So of course this is our first battle with our rival, and I just pretty much spammed Scratch because while yes, you can lose this one, that's one good reason to pick up the potion. Oftentimes you don't, especially when they don't have the ability to lower your attack. And I just spammed attack, so hoping that he didn't attack me too much with using his tail whips, and I think my luck paid off. I don't think he got my health any lower than 11. Yep, see, beat him with 11 health left and no potion, so now I still have that in my inventory, and Firaga is level 6 now. And it's really nice that they healed my Pokemon for me, so I don't have to worry about doing that. And I let my rival, just take off and go do his own thing. And I'm just going to go straight into getting Oak's Parcel, since that's our first quest. Might as well get it done as quick as possible. And we talked to this guy to get our second free potion, because you can never have too many of those, especially since you can't buy any in Viridian City. So picking them up and not having to use them right away is kind of nice. Since I am doing a Nuzlocke, and as you can see I just faced my first wild Pokemon, I'm not going to be able to capture one in Route 1. I know a lot of people start their Nuzlocke challenges after they get Pokeballs, but there's been times when I can walk through Route 1 without encountering anything. So I figured, well, it's easier to train 4 Pokemon rather than 5 to higher levels, especially since I'm starting with Charmander, and I kind of want to keep them all even, so why not just make it a little harder and not be able to capture the Pokemon on Route 1 if I encounter one. He only battled once, so I didn't really need a heal Faraga, so I decided just to go pick up Oak's Parcel since I figured I wasn't going to be fighting anything on my way back since I only have to hit one patch of grass. So now I'm picking it up. Alright. Now we get the long, slow journey back to Palatown. I remember doing this as a kid going, come on, I really want the Pokeball so I can actually start catching some of these things. Because for me and my friends, I was the last one to get this game. So I got this around my birthday, which is in the middle of the school year. It's during winter break. And I was the last one to get this game, so I was like, alright, I am way behind on the curve, and I really need to start catching up. So it was really frustrating that I couldn't just get my Pokeball, start catching, because I did read a few things that Pidgey and Rattata were your first 2 catches, so I knew that at least I can get 2 and have a route completed, because that's the kind of gamer I am usually. I'm a completionist at heart. Speaking of which, that's probably one of the Let's Plays I'll be doing in the future, is more of a completionist run, meaning I'll capture all 150 and get all the items, and I'm not going to level all of them to 100, because while I did that as a kid, well, I didn't make it all the way, but I tried, and I decided, yeah, it takes too long. Plus, that can get really arduous in trying to show you everything. So that's another reason to do the Nuzlocke. Oh, and I forgot, in case those who don't know what the Nuzlocke is essentially Pokemon Hard Mode, which is actually the name of the comic that Nuzlocke, the original person, or the person who the Nuzlocke challenge is named after, called it. So he made a comic, in I believe Ruby version, where he tried to do this challenge where he set 2 rules. One is you can only capture the first encounter in each route. That's the only Pokemon you can capture. And the second rule, which is even more important, if that Pokemon happens to die, it is dead. You have to release it. It is gone. You cannot use it again. In my run, I will be releasing any Pokemon that dies. Since I'm not going to be keeping this game afterwards, I may trade some over to my other version if I want to. That will just happen later down on the road. So here's my first encounter, and it's a Nidoran male, which is what I really wanted. If not this, maybe a Spearow. I know Spearow can be a better flying type than Pidgey, so it's one of the reasons I head over to Route 22 first. But I'm really glad I got Nidoran. It's a good Pokemon, especially early on in the game, especially in Red, when you have to face all those Weedles in Viridian Forest. And he's immune to poison. So he's a good handyman to trade out if your Pokemon gets poisoned and you don't want your next one to get poisoned, to kind of take out the competition. I also believe that if you level him up decently, he can take on Brock pretty well. So I figured that was a good chance to get a Nidoran male, especially with Charmander. Again, if you level Charmander pretty high, his Ember attack can hurt and doesn't get distracted by the Harden that they use. But I'd like to have options every time I face a gym leader. As you saw, we named Nidoran male as Faramir. That is Faramir from Lord of the Rings, by the way. For some reason, I keep on naming my Nidoking and Nidoqueen after Faramir and Eowyn, because they do start hooking up towards the end of the series. I had the brief thought a long time ago of using Aragorn, but I just didn't think Nidoking was cool enough to be Aragorn, so he ended up being Faramir, who, in all respects, ends up... he's a steward, but he marries Eowyn, who's a queen, or princess, I should say. So While it's not perfect, it'll work for me. And here's my second encounter. It's a Pidgey. And so my second opportunity to catch a Pokemon. And I noticed my health was getting a little low, but I'm trying to run through real quick, capture my entire team before the end of this video. I like to keep them around 15 minutes, so I'd like to try and catch what my initial team will be in the first go-around, so then I can grind them off screen so you don't have to see that boring, long, arduous time period. So yay, I did catch my Pidgey, and we're going to go ahead and name him Fly Molo, I believe. Now, if some of you know that there's going to be the Ender's Game movie coming out, Fly Molo was one of the toon leaders that Ender created for Dragon Army. I just wanted something that sounded like a bird, and Pidgey is one of those HM slaves I've always used Fly on. So I thought about Fly, and then I remembered Fly Molo, and yeah, there we go. Fly Molo is now a part of our team. I'm going to continue into Viridian Forest and catch our last Pokemon friend. This way we can get as many as we can get before we reach Brock. Of course, you've seen me pick up 2 hidden items, Potion in Route 2, or on the border between Viridian City and Route 2, and that Antidote in the Viridian Forest. So now I'm just kind of walking back and forth to make my first encounter. Please, please be a Metapod, let me a Metapod. I was so disappointed. I knew that was probably going to happen because it is red. But it's really handy to have a Butterfree rather than a Beedrill when you're facing Brock, because since he doesn't know, his Pokemon don't know any rock moves, it's not super effective against our Butterfree, and it has Confusion, which is very, very handy against Brock when you don't have either Bulbasaur or Squirtle. Well, we did catch Weedle, and Weedle does evolve into Beedrill, who does have a pretty good attack power. So I was trying to think of a name, and as you can tell, I really am a geek in all sorts of ways. So we're going to name him Gantoris. Gantoris was one of the first Jedi that Luke Skywalker trained in the Jedi Training Academy trilogy. He ended up turning to the dark side, which is what I kind of thought Poison fit, because I always thought of Poison as a little darker than most of the other Pokemon types out there. I do like the character, and he was really strong, so why not try and see if we can give our little Weedle, who will hopefully become a Beedrill, some good luck and name him a good name. I know a lot of people choose to go ahead and throw him away, but it's one of the reasons I chose a Nuzlocke challenge, so I can use Pokemon that I just have never used. I've never used a Beedrill in any of my runs. I definitely prefer Butterfree. That's my apologies. So now I'm saving, and I'm just going to go ahead and check my party. So I have level 6, level 3, level 3, level 4. You know, not basic. So I'm going to go ahead and save and call it quits for now, and grind off screen, and next episode I will go ahead and battle Gary and fight Brock.